Galina woke up before the alarm clock. Outside, dawn was already breaking. The first rays of the May sun filtered through the sheer curtains. She quietly slipped out from under the blanket, trying not to wake her husband. Stepping across the cool floor, she sneaked into the kitchen and turned on the kettle, wrapping it in a towel to muffle the sound. Morning was her only refuge. Brief moments of solitude when she could calmly think about her own life, free from judgmental looks and endless reminders about a woman's duties. The woman walked over to the window. The small garden in front of the house was already covered in fresh greenery, and the first flowers were beginning to bloom in the 3 modest flower beds she had fought hard to claim from her mother-in-law. What nonsense! Anna Viktorovna had grumbled when her daughter-in-law first mentioned planting flowers. You should be planting potatoes and carrots, not those, what are they called, petunias. Galina had stayed silent then, as usual, but the flower beds had appeared anyway. Up before sunrise again, came her husband's hoarse voice. And why? You sit at home all day anyway. Nikita stretched and yawned widely. A tall, sturdy man with chestnut-colored hair, he had been her husband for 3 years now. 3 long years. Good morning, his wife replied quietly as she poured the tea. I love this time of day. It's so peaceful. Well, I never thought I'd marry such an early bird, the man chuckled. Anyway, I've got an early start today. Father's working on getting a new route approved, so I need to help out. Galina nodded silently. The Stroganov family business, 5 minibus routes in Voronezh, was the only subject that truly excited her husband. He talked enthusiastically about future prospects, about how he and his father would soon dominate the entire city. You could at least take an interest in it. It's the family business, after all. While your husband works hard, you're sitting here relaxing within 4 walls. Sorry. How is the new route coming along? Much better. Father and I are going to the administration office today. There's a guy there who can help. The woman listened with only half an ear, nodding automatically. Completely different thoughts were spinning through her mind. What if she hadn't made that foolish mistake? Galchinok, have you seen my documents? The ones in the blue folder? Nikita shouted from the hallway. They're on the cabinet in the corridor. Smart girl. Her husband ran over, kissed her on the cheek, and just before leaving said, Mother asked you to help with the seedlings. You didn't forget, did you? Galina nodded. How could she forget? Her mother-in-law had been reminding her all week. And I'll give you money for groceries this evening. Okay. Okay, Galina replied quietly, watching the door close behind him. Silence. Finally. The woman slowly lowered herself into a chair and closed her eyes. 5 years ago, after graduating from college with a degree in ornamental horticulture and floristry, the future had seemed so bright. She dreamed of opening her own little flower shop. She had even come up with a name for it, Blooming Dreams. Then Nikita appeared. A handsome, competent young man from a successful business family. He swept her off her feet and led her to the registry office. And now she was here, in the Stroganov household, where men made the decisions and women obeyed. Why do you need to work? Nikita had asked back then in surprise. My father and I earn plenty. Your job is to take care of the home and make it comfortable. And the woman had agreed. She silently swallowed her disappointment when her husband laughed at her flowers, put her diplomas away, and pushed her dreams into the distant future. Galia, you seem awfully thoughtful today, Anna Viktorovna remarked, handing her daughter-in-law a box of pepper seedlings. Did something happen? The women were working in the mother-in-law's greenhouse, transplanting young plants. The May sun was beating down, and it was stuffy inside the greenhouse. No, everything's fine. I just didn't get enough sleep. Her mother-in-law snorted. Anna Viktorovna was nearly 60, but she looked younger. An energetic, authoritative woman with short hair, she kept the entire household under strict control. You know, her mother-in-law suddenly said, I used to be just like you. I wanted something different too. Galina looked at her relative in surprise. What do you mean? I mean that nothing escapes me. I see how you fuss over your flowers. Maybe I'm strict at times, but in this matter, I understand you better than anyone. The woman carefully transplanted a seedling. When I was young, I wanted to become an agronomist. Can you imagine? I even got into college. I loved working with plants. I wanted to develop new varieties of vegetables. I knew everything about every little herb, when to plant it, how to fertilize it. What stopped you? Galina was touched by her mother-in-law's unexpected honesty. Anna Viktorovna smirked. Who stopped me? You mean? She sighed. I married Mikhail Petrovich, dropped out of college, gave birth to Nikita, and you know what my husband is like, always business, business, business. What agronomist, he used to say. Help me instead of wasting time on nonsense. And that's how life turned out. Galina felt something tighten in her chest. Suddenly, she wanted very much to share her own hopes with her mother-in-law. Anna Viktorovna, Galina began unexpectedly, I want to tell you something. Do you remember when my grandmother passed away 6 months ago? Of course I remember. You were devastated. That's not something anyone forgets. The thing is, she left me an inheritance. A cottage in the countryside with a large piece of land. I've kept quiet all this time while the paperwork was being completed. Today marks exactly 6 months, and you're the first person I'm telling. And Nikita? Nikita doesn't know. I don't even know why I stayed silent. I guess I wanted to figure out what I should do with it first. The woman fell silent, running her fingers through the soil. Then, gathering her courage, she looked up at her mother-in-law. You know, I've been thinking, maybe I could open a small flower greenhouse there. I do have the education for it, and I really don't want to give up on my dream. Anna Viktorovna remained silent for a long moment before quietly replying. God willing, Galina. God willing. The words she had spoken to her mother-in-law stayed with Galina all day. It was strange. Speaking aloud about something she had kept hidden for so long felt like taking the first step into the unknown. That evening, she set the table with unusual care. Today was the right moment to tell the whole family about the inheritance. The waiting period had ended, and the cottage had officially become her property. The front door slammed. The men had returned home. Nikita and her father-in-law entered noisily, shouting with excitement. Galchinok, her husband, called from the doorway. We've got great news. Mikhail Petrovich proudly walked into the kitchen, placing a bottle of cognac on the table, reserved for special occasions. Hello, daughter-in-law. Nikita and I got lucky today. So they approved the route? Anna Viktorovna asked as she entered the kitchen, having just finished weeding the garden beds. What's all this excitement about? I see there are good things happening today. Looks like you have some good news too? Nikita asked his wife with interest. Let's hear yours first, the mother-in-law said, nodding toward the men. Just imagine, Mikhail Petrovich began enthusiastically. The route was approved. The one through the new residential district. Of course, our contact in the administration helped. We'll be the first ones operating there. But we need another vehicle, Nikita added. The old ones can't handle that schedule. Exactly. We'll have to take out a loan, but we'll manage. We always do. Then he looked at Galina. Now tell us your good news, daughter-in-law. We're listening. Galina felt her heart beating faster. My grandmother, whom I lost 6 months ago, left me a country cottage with land on Lesnaya Prosika. Today I officially became the legal owner of the property. Silence filled the kitchen for a moment. Mikhail Petrovich tapped his fingers thoughtfully on the table, as if calculating something in his mind. Nikita stared at his wife in open surprise. Lesnaya Prosika, you say? Her father-in-law finally spoke. Yes. The land there is worth a fortune. A realtor friend of mine sells houses there. They sell like hotcakes. He turned to Nikita. You know, this solves our problem. Nikita immediately looked at his father. Dad, if we sell the cottage, there'll be enough money for a new minibus, and maybe even the small coach we've been dreaming about. Her father-in-law broke into a wide smile. Now that's an idea. We'll sell Grandma's cottage, buy Nikita a vehicle, register it in his name. I'll call my friend right away. He'll find a buyer quickly. We can wrap it up within a week. Wait, Galina said quietly but firmly. I think you misunderstood me. I'm not planning to sell the house. The men fell silent and stared at her in confusion. What do you mean you're not planning to sell it? Her husband frowned. Galina, do you realize what an opportunity this is? This could help grow the family business. I'm not selling my grandmother's house, the woman repeated, trying to keep her voice steady. And I'll say it again, I have other plans for it. Mikhail Petrovich leaned back in his chair. And what plans might those be? I want to open a flower greenhouse there. Grow flowers for sale. Use my education in floristry. Her father-in-law snorted, while Nikita raised his eyebrows in surprise. Flowers? Seriously, Galina? What about our business? We need another vehicle for the new route. Listen, daughter-in-law, Mikhail Petrovich said reasonably, though he spoke as if addressing a child. Your husband works from morning till night so the family lacks nothing. And now that there's an opportunity to expand the business, you're thinking about flowers? They're not just flowers. There was hurt in Galina's voice. It's what I studied. It's what I've dreamed about. For 5 years I've been putting my own wishes aside. Dreams are for children, Mikhail Petrovich replied. Adults think about the future. About money. And what do I need money for if I'm unhappy? Unhappy? Nikita practically jumped out of his chair in outrage. What do you mean, unhappy? You have everything, a house, food, clothes. What more do you need? My own work. The opportunity to do something that brings me joy. You're my wife. We're a family, and we should make decisions together. When have we ever made decisions together? Galina replied with a bitter smile. You've always made every decision yourself. Mikhail Petrovich frowned and muttered disapprovingly. What kind of women's nonsense is this? In our day, wives supported their husbands instead of arguing with them. I'm not selling that house. It's a memory of my grandmother. It's a chance to start something of my own. You should be thinking about the family. If you love me, you'll support me. Galina felt tears rising in her throat. Enough, Anna Viktorovna suddenly said sharply. Everyone turned toward her, surprised by the outburst. Her mother-in-law rarely raised her voice. Do you even hear yourselves? The woman looked at her husband and son. Galina's grandmother passed away and left her an inheritance. It's her inheritance, and it's her decision what to do with it. Anya, what's gotten into you? Her husband asked in disbelief. You're always saying family comes first. Family doesn't mean doing whatever the men say, Anna Viktorovna replied with surprising firmness. Even I finally understood that after 30 years of marriage. What do you mean, even you? Mikhail Petrovich stared at his wife as if seeing her for the first time. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the fact that a woman has the right to her own desires, her own decisions, and isn't obligated to obey choices made for her by men. Mom, what's going on? Nikita shifted a confused glance between his parents. We're talking about the family business. What benefit are flowers? The minibus means real money. Stability. Don't you understand that? A tense silence filled the kitchen. Galina looked at her mother-in-law in amazement. Never before had she heard her say anything like this. She had always agreed with her husband, always supported his decisions. You're pressuring Galina right now, Anna Viktorovna continued. Just like you pressured me years ago. And I don't want her to repeat my fate. What fate? Mikhail Petrovich demanded. You live like a queen. You have everything. Everything except what I dreamed of, the woman replied confidently. Then she turned to Galina. Galia, tell us more about your idea. We all want to hear it, don't we, gentlemen? Galina was taken aback by such support. She took a deep breath and began. My grandmother's plot is large, almost 1,500 square meters. I could build a greenhouse, not a very large one at first. I'd grow flowers for sale. I still have contacts from college. I know where to buy materials. And how much will you earn from that? Her husband interrupted rudely. 5,000 rubles a month? 10? A minibus brings in at least 200,000. It's not just about money. It's something I love. Something that makes me happy. Enough of this nonsense. Mikhail Petrovich barked. You only think about yourself while we feed you, provide for you, and put a roof over your head. Misha. Anna Viktorovna raised her voice. Don't you dare speak to Galia like that. She doesn't owe anyone anything. What, are you against me now? Her husband stared at her with both anger and disbelief. I'm not against you. I'm for Galia. And for myself. Finally. Galina felt something tighten in her chest. For 3 years she had seen her mother-in-law as nothing more than a strict woman. Now, for the first time, she saw a kindred spirit. So what are you suggesting? Nikita asked defiantly. That Galia grows her flowers while we're left without a vehicle? Dad spent so much effort getting that route approved. A new minibus can be bought on credit, Anna Viktorovna replied calmly. Or through leasing. Plenty of people do it. Besides, 10 minutes ago you were both saying you'd manage somehow. Or does free money simply look more appealing? The men looked at her unhappily, unsure how to respond. I'm suggesting a compromise. Galia keeps the house and starts her greenhouse business. But part of the income, say, 1/3 of the profit, goes into the family budget to help pay off the loan for the new minibus. And to make things easier, I could help Galina with the greenhouse. After all, I do have some experience, even if it's only amateur experience. You really want to help? Galina asked gratefully. Not only do I want to help, Anna Viktorovna smiled. I'm genuinely interested myself. Maybe you can teach me some of your professional tricks. It's never too late to learn something new. Mikhail Petrovich looked at his wife in astonishment, then turned to his son. Nikita, maybe we should actually think about it. If we take out a loan and Galina contributes part of her profits. I need time to think, the man finally muttered. Then he abruptly stood up and left the kitchen. Sunday morning was warm, almost like summer. Galina was arranging gardening tools on her grandmother's property, which had now become her own. The old apple trees promised a rich harvest, and work on installing the greenhouse was about to begin in the far corner of the land. Galchenok, where should I put these bags of soil? Nikita asked, breathing heavily. Over there, under the shed, Galina pointed, smiling as she watched her husband. 3 weeks had passed since the evening when the truth about the inheritance had finally come out. Nikita resisted for a long time, but eventually gave in, especially after his father unexpectedly supported his wife. The greenhouse will go here. Anna Viktorovna walked around with a measuring tape. 6 by 12 meters is a good size, and over here we can have seedling beds. What do you think? Over the past few weeks, she seemed to have grown younger. Her eyes sparkled with excitement. She had immersed herself in planning the greenhouse and had even enrolled in a course on greenhouse management. Perfect, her daughter-in-law nodded. Later on, we can expand. Mikhail Petrovich approached the women, wiping sweat from his forehead. Well then, business ladies, is everything moving along? There was no trace of his former mockery in his voice. Absolutely. In another month, we'll be able to plant our first seedlings. Good. Tomorrow I'll bring the guys over, and we'll help put up the greenhouse. By the way, our loan was approved. The minibus will be ours within a week. Congratulations, dear. That's wonderful news. You know, Galia, her father-in-law suddenly said, addressing her, at first I was against all this. I thought it was nonsense. But now I see how passionate you are about it. And my Anya seems younger too. Maybe I wasn't entirely right after all. Misha, have you been out in the sun too long? Anna Viktorovna joked, though tears glistened in her eyes. No, I haven't. He paused. I've just been thinking, if I hadn't made you quit college back then, who would you be today? He cleared his throat awkwardly and hurried back toward the shed. Anna Viktorovna watched him go with both surprise and tenderness. That evening, Galina sat down on the porch. Inside the house, Nikita and his father were arguing about the best way to arrange the furniture. The family had decided to spend weekends here, helping with the greenhouse. Tired? Nikita asked as he sat beside her with a mug of tea. A little. But it's the good kind of tired. It'll pass. Galina, I wanted to apologize, her husband said after a brief pause. For pressuring you. I thought I was doing the right thing. What changed? I think I saw your eyes light up for the first time when you talked about your plans. And I've never seen Mom this happy before. Suddenly I realized that all these years I'd been taking something important away from you. I thought providing for you was enough. Galina smiled warmly as she looked at her husband. And there's something else, he admitted. I was afraid that if you had your own business, you'd become independent and leave me. That's silly, she laughed. I'm not trying to escape. I just want to be myself. 3 months passed. The greenhouse sparkled in the sunlight. Inside, flowers of every color bloomed in abundance. Galina was cutting fresh stems for another bouquet. You have an order from the bridal salon, Anna Viktorovna announced. 30 bouquets by Friday. We'll manage. I think it's time to expand. Demand keeps growing. Maybe we should hire an assistant? She smiled. By the way, Mikhail said yesterday that your profits are almost equal to the income from one of the minibuses. Can you imagine? Galina smiled as she looked at her hands. They were always covered in soil now, marked with tiny scratches. But they were happy hands. You know what's amazing, she said. I never thought my dream could bring all of us together. I never imagined our family would become stronger because of it. Anna Viktorovna wrapped her arms around her daughter-in-law. Every woman has the right to a dream. And every dream has the right to live. Outside the greenhouse, the bright sun illuminated Galina's small family business. The business she had protected and fought for. The business that had transformed from a dream into reality. The end.